All right. So, I think I said let's try to do some coding, or at least some more. We'll try to set up something that's a little more complicated this time. Maybe we'll have a geometry get driven by, um, well, let's call it that. We'll call it GeoDrive. That's a cool name. So we'll save this now as its own separate piece, because I use that default file as just a starting point. It's got some stuff like my movie record out, which is right here, which is pretty nice, all set up and ready to go. So we'll call this GeoDrive. I'm going to copy that. Boom. So we got that saved in there. And now really what I'm interested is going in here and having the actual geometry get driven by a chop. And so to do that, I have to give the coordinates of all these points. And you can see it kind of fluctuates between these two different numbers. So it lends itself to a couple different chop things that I already kind of know. So I could have this be my TX. Could make another one that's a pattern. Also, so this is 300, so we need to change this to 300. Or 299, is that how this works? No, 300. To make it the same length, call this TY. And then maybe for TZ, we have just a constant. And then these two might be linked to separate beat chops that are driving their phasing. So that way there'll be motion to the shape itself. And again, you don't really know. I mean, you can kind of start to get a feeling of what it's going to look like, but I think part of the fun of this is just kind of building it out and experimenting, and then making it so you can quickly change parameters and get wildly different geometry and stuff. So now I got those three in there. Now I might put this in a null just in case I want to add anything else to it. And I'll move this whole network back. Now I'm going to do this into a limit. I'm pretty sure limit is how this one works. And I'm going to hook that up to the channels. And you can already see it's doing some wild stuff, which is exactly what I wanted. So it's doing a little bit too much. It has no UV attributes, which that probably has more to do with something in here. So I think if I do a polygon at each point, that might solve that. No, it's still having trouble with that. But yeah, you got to play around with these kind of settings. It looks like it likes this a little better. But it's still getting mad about this UV coordinates. And I think that's because I'm applying a material. I think if I take that actually off, it won't be as, it doesn't care about it then. But I do want to eventually do that. So let's just see. We can kind of go through together on some of these modes and see if any of these will just get me out of that. Oh, that's too crazy. Tubes, strips. Okay, so that seems to have done it. Just applying the texture. And now I can have different things. Oops. Oops. Didn't mean to click that. So yeah, in here now, everything's moving like way too fast. So let's take this and do kind of a large number. You can see there's a lot of stuff going on. I think this has to be 300 to actually get it to work how we want it to, right? For some reason that didn't work. So what I'm trying to do is match the the sample rate. Maybe I have to change this to samples. Did that do it? No, I don't want it to be a single sample. There we go. So 300 should, yeah, it really drives this thing down. How many did that get us? Okay, that's way too many. That's because this is crazy sample rate, so we'll just turn that back down to 1. And now it should be fine. You can see it's still running crazy fast. Or kind of crazy fast, but anyway, now we've got a little bit more control of it. We can see just the lines doesn't really come through. Polygon, can't really see anything. Circle, massive drop in quality. This looks like it's too intense. Uh-oh. This might actually crash it. And that can happen as well. I'm not the first person to crash Touch. I'm sure everyone will tell you. I don't even think I'm running the actual latest build, so that's probably on me. We'll see what happens here, what we didn't get rid of. So I'm going to open the file. Hopefully this sort of works. And we didn't lose everything. Oh, we lost pretty much everything. So that'll happen. But we didn't save right after. So right away, I'm going to kind of do the same thing, even though that did break it. We were getting close to what I wanted to have happen. And then we'll do a pattern for the next one. That'll be for TY. Make this 300 so it matches samples. And maybe just to make it simple, because I think in pattern you can just choose, yeah, you can just choose constant. So it comes with a lot of nice stuff. So we'll just make this be that one. That way it stays the same length. And change that to be TZ. I'm going to want to save, as we saw from the last one. Merge this. Grab these two. Merge them in. Put this in a null in case I do want to add something to it, which I think I ultimately will now that I saw kind of the end result. Now go in here, and you can do chop 2, which my understanding is it runs into some of the same problems, I think. Let's see. It doesn't have UV, but I can add those attributes. I know if I do, is it attribute? No, I think it's create attribute. Attribute create, excuse me. Does this do it? No, actually I got to do it with texture shop. So if I add this in, a texture shop, this makes it okay. Although you can't really see this one, it's pretty thin. But yeah, we can start to, that's also, we can go in here and start to, see, not offset, but the phase. If we move the phase, we can see this kind of animate. Mapping, let's see, that's the same. Normals. But I don't really think that's what I wanted, because the other way is cooler if you do SOP 2. Or excuse me, going here, it's limit. Now I gotta apply 3 channels. I can put it into texture. I think that'll map it, solve our UV problem. Now, in here, for the output, I want to make that be whatever I want it to be. That actually looks pretty cool. And then you can do all kinds of limiting stuff, which I haven't messed with. But yeah, if I animate this now with the beat, take these two and basically I'm going to want to move this onto the phase. Oh, that's way too fast. I actually don't know why that's having so much trouble. Might be just the style of it. Even that's looking pretty cool. You can change the size of it. So yeah, you can kind of play around. Ooh. I don't know what's going on here. This looks crazy. Huh. That's the fun part, is you just might have just a wild accident kind of happen that looks really cool. Put this into HSV adjust. I like a lot of the settings in here to kind of crank different things. And the other option is just to kill this kind of crazy, yeah, and go for a more really lo-fi look. Constant will even get rid of the lighting. But I don't think we want that because the lighting's cool, so let's use a Fong. And then if we go in here, we can really start to make some interesting stuff. Maybe that color looks rather nice. And then yeah, add in a constant that's just black. That's the size that we want for the ultimate final piece. And then yeah, like I said, the nice thing is once you set this up, well, even white actually looks pretty cool. I guess we could kind of mess with whatever color we want behind there. Ooh, I like that. Just a little tiny pop. So yeah, the other thing is pretty quickly I can get a lot of different looks setting up something like this, because just the smallest of change to the wave period or whatever will change the entire way it interacts with the piece and give you a different look, essentially. So this is a pretty cool one. Sort of like that. Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, if I even wanted to go dig a little deeper, I can already tell that this piece lends itself really well to the tile feature. So you could just throw a tile in this and it would immediately, uh-oh. I was about to say, I didn't think that would crash it. And if you flipped it here, yeah, you've got kind of a really tripped out kind of fractally looking thing where everything's kind of moving. And it's got a few features too built into that tile which you could do. One thing that might be cool to do is to have the tile be feedback. So then make this a level and then do like a blur or something before it. So I'm going to dial this back and then I'll put in a blur as well to kind of make it look, yeah, less like you can see it. Then I have to add them back to the original over here, and then we'll use this to feed itself back. You can already see we got some little bit of craziness. I don't know if that did exactly what I was hoping for. What happens if I didn't dial it? Huh. Didn't exactly work out how I wanted it to. It's not necessarily the worst, but just not exactly what I wanted. I think this will look just better, just having this blur in there. You dial it back and kind of, I think right there. It's a nice happy medium for it. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty cool to me. So for this piece, I'll probably roll with this. Call this GeoDrive. Record this in. So that looks cool. Like I said, the nice thing about this is it's pretty easy to drastically shift it up. I mean, even just changing, right now I have a point at each point. If I change it to tubes, well, everything disappeared when I did that, but tubes, how about tubes? Too crazy. Ooh. So yeah, this one's pretty crazy. Sphere at each point, but it's almost too strong. Polygon at each point. So these guys are just crazy big. Can't do more than the one division. What happens when I move this? Yeah, it just disappears. And then if I rotate it, oh yeah. So you get some different perspective stuff. And like I said, changing these waves will drastically change how everything kind of interacts. So it's sometimes just about playing with different looks and seeing what's really going to work out. And changing these numbers in here, like if I change the amplitude, yeah, it's going to change the. So like I don't want it to go as much that way, but I need it a little more this way, so I can just continue to do that until it gets. So it looks like I'm going to have to move. So there's another one that looks pretty cool. And another thing too, an easy way to just change the color scheme once you've got kind of something that looks cool is to use these HSV adjust. And you can even just type in 45 will give you a pretty drastically different look. You can record that in. And then you can do another 90 here. And like I said, I mean, even just, I don't even know what this would do, but if I add some noise, it should, oh yeah. That's almost too crazy though. Ooh, that looks cool though. It's like minimal. Yeah, so let's have that be kind of the final look. That one's got a little noise to it. You can see people exploding and kind of deforming. That's another fun one to kind of do. So yeah, I got that. Let's fire up the music stuff here. Save. Oh yeah, and I forgot to do, of course I forgot to do pictures. I always forget to do that. Not the end of the world though. Unfortunately, Twitter's dwindling. I barely have anybody really checking my stuff out there. Let's do the other colorway. And I guess to mix it up, what could I do here? Triangle wave. Something a little different. And then yeah, now we'll do this crazy one with the original colorway. So yeah, people on the Twitter get a little something different. Usually the quality is a lot better too, so I'm able to kind of showcase the crazier stuff. So let's open up Ableton Live. Alright, so let's get into some music. Kind of had a little bit of the tempo there was like uh-oh, I just took it right down. So let's try again. Okay, so it's somewhere in there. Let's get our metronome on. I always switch this to none. Switch over here. So I think there was one in there, at least that I can warp and get to sound halfway decent. So I'm going to set the 1-1 here. I'm going to warp from here at the tempo. I think it should do. Yeah, that sounded pretty close to on. So I think if I loop that, we should be good. So we'll grab this and take this to that first part, and I'm going to loop that anyway, and I'm going to loop it here as well. Okay, cool. And then there's some something. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna need anything that intense. Just kind of wanted something more, just a bass to play with it, to be honest. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Let's see, try filter 1, probably. So let's try this. So we'll tap this. Don't really find too much there, so let's just move forward. Just get a kick going. I know these kicks I go to a lot. They're just great kicks. So what are you gonna do? There you go. It's the exact kick I was looking for. Punchy. Still got some low. Now keep scrolling up. And we're gonna grab I like that, and I like this. And let's add in a, that sounds great. I like to keep the kits pretty simple, leave a lot of space, especially for something like this. I think this is going to be kind of housey, even though the tempo is a little slow. So I'm already knowing I'm going to want kind of a 4 on the floor beat, and then probably And then put our claps in. So yeah, I knew I'd find something in here. This is a great little pack that I've got from Fred Everything. He's famous for doing the I'm Too Sexy song, but is also a house legend. Put together this nice pack. And I think that just sounds great. I might, something you can always do with these, and you can ditch it if you don't like it. So you can grab like a sampler, you can run this into there and then use some of the additional stuff in there to play it on your keyboard. You know, so yeah, I think there's something in there. So let's just try it. Record that in. I think I got it. Oh, and one of the things you can quickly just, I was way off on this one, so I'm just going to quantize it 100%. So I add a little groove to it, which gives it a little bounce, a little flavor. One thing too, we could add audio effect that would be cool is just a chorus on the top of this. You get kind of a crazier sound with that. And yeah, just looking at what I got here, I think I definitely got enough to do a little 15-second composition of it. One fun thing would be to cut the beat out a few times and just have that crazy stuff play. So you just kind of feel where we want to cut it. Probably like right here. Yeah, and I think even going in here and killing. Do a tiny bit of mixing here. I'd use only that high part there. I'm a slave to this too. Yeah, I was trying some different delays and things, but none of them seem to really be exactly what I was looking for. Maybe overdrive is more it. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the final bass together. Alright, so I'm going to save this GeoDrive. This will accompany that visual piece we made. Now I'm going to want to render it out. I always just render out MP3. Doesn't seem to change anything because you're going to be doing so much compression to get it into Instagram anyway. So now open up Premiere. Quickly start to lay that out. It's loading up here. basically I'll pull up those 3 pieces that we did, which are, you know, different colors and stuff, and kind of showed how to do some geometry using channel operators and then switching that into surface operators to make geometry. Geo drive, loading that up. I don't know why it's going so slow, but it is. Let's turn some of this stuff off. There it goes. Pull that in. Quickly grab these 3. I don't know why this is freezing out on me, but it is. Might be using water, but I'm not. It's going to go into the speed, keep all these the same size, and then change them to be exactly 5 seconds long. Now let's go in and we'll pull in the music portion. Make sure that that only goes, oh well, it's barely even over by much, but we'll just fade that out. Now I'm going to move my 3 pieces in. You can kind of see here. Cool, yeah, so we'll have that noise one in the middle. It goes back to normal. Cool. I think that's a pretty cool progression. We'll add in that crossfade that's always added in. Make that be 2 seconds. Save. Just made a lot of changes. Start it back at the beginning. Render that out. I've been using this from this awesome user who helped us out figure out exactly what the hell Instagram was doing. This has been great. My stuff's been looking awesome, so thanks so much again. Shout out JMTZ. I think that's their username. I gotta rebump that thread and say that that's been really helping me out. I saw there were people going into even more depth on the audio stuff, and be curious to see what they concluded on there. I saw some FFmpeg stuff, so who knows, there might even be a better way to do this, so maybe next time I'll be doing an even better way. But let's take a look at our render there. Let's play this out. Ooh, did kind of crunch it down. Not horrible. It still gets the point across. I like it. Just the limitations of Instagram. But there you go. There's another daily render. Going to keep the streak alive this week. So tune in. Get in the chat. I think for the next one, we'll keep trying to do more code stuff and trying to build out on the visual stuff that I've been doing. Maybe even do some type of, build some kind of video synth. That could be fun to show how to get interactive using a controller, and then maybe having a GUI kind of set up too, where you could control some different things, some different parameters, like maybe kind of what I did today, but then adding controls to it. That could be fun. So see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to keep doing these, and yeah, I appreciate it. See you next time.